episode of the Fairway to Retail Success is brought to you by AGM vendor partner T-Commerce, the online retail solution for golf facilities. T-Commerce helps merchandisers and golf professionals expand sales beyond the physical shop and fill merchandising gaps. Give your members and customers the convenience of shopping online 24/7, all with no extra inventory risk or additional work for your staff. Visit tcommerce.shop to learn how easy it is to take your shop online. Now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fairway to Retail Success. I'm your host, Justine, the AGM's Director of Membership and Education. Today, I'm joined by Victoria Matthews, Director of Retail at St. Andrews Country Club in Boca Raton, Florida. Victoria has been with St. Andrews for more than a decade, and under her leadership, the shop has seen tremendous growth, more than doubling sales and recently earning her the Club Manager of the Year award in 2023 at her facility. Known for her strategic approach and passion for member service, Victoria has helped shape St. Andrews into a one-stop retail destination that's as elevated as it is efficient. In addition to her work in golf retail, she's a committed community leader through both the St. Andrews Gives Back program and her service as president of the Junior League of Boca Raton. In this episode, Victoria will share the strategies behind her team's year-over-year sales growth, philosophy behind their return policy, and how she curates an experience that truly meets the needs of every member. We'll also talk a bit about staff development, standout events, and trends she's watching in today's evolving retail environment. So, without further ado, welcome, Victoria. We're so excited to have you for this conversation.
Hi, Justine. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I've seen some of the other podcasts. I hope that today will inspire and maybe help some other clubs and directors and merchandisers with the conversation we're having today.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, I'd love to start out by asking our guests, how did you get started in golf? Can you walk us through your career journey and what led you to your current role at St. Andrews?
Yeah, it's been an interesting story. My husband and I moved to Florida, Boca Raton, 18 years ago. And I was always a golfer, but because I'd always worked full time, I didn't get to play much golf. And as you don't play much golf, you're not very good. But when I moved to Florida, I had the highest handicap you could get, which was a 36. And I started playing more golf when I first moved here, and I was doing very well. So I got my handicap down to a 13.
Oh,
And so I fell in love with the game of golf. And one day my husband said, "Hey, I think you should go and get a part-time job at that new golf store that's opening up in Boca Raton." And so I'm like, okay. So I went over there and I knew how to play golf, yes, but I didn't know anything about retail. I didn't know anything about clubs. I didn't know anything about clubs. And but I walked into the store, I met with the manager, and he hired me on the spot. And that's how my golf career got started. So I had opened that store in Boca and I had worked there for 6 years. And with the local golf store, we had developed good relationships with all the country clubs in the area because the pros and the directors needed product. And so we were able to be a source for them and provide them the product that they needed for their members. So we did exchanges, we did returns. We just had a really good working relationship. So as a result, I got to meet a lot of the country clubs in the area and the pros and the directors of that nature. And one day, one of my customers, who I was very friendly with, of course, came to me and said, "Hey, there's an opportunity at St. Andrews, and we think that you would be a great fit." And I said, "Okay, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm not looking for a job." They were friendly. They kept pursuing and pushing. And so I said, "Okay, I'll go and just do the interview just out of respect for you guys. I appreciate it." So I came over here to St. Andrews and I met my current director, Paul Clivio. And it was one meeting. And I knew after that first meeting with Paul that this was the right place for me. And so that's my journey, and I've been here for 12 years.
Mhm. Amazing. And
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned that it took one meeting to know you were in the right place. And sometimes it happens that way that you really get that feeling at a particular facility and the team there so
Yeah.
quickly, and you can know when
Yes.
it's the right place. So, very glad that you're in the right spot for you.
Yes, yes, I am. I have a good team behind me, and Paul and I have obviously we've been together for 12 years, and we just have a really good working relationship. We have the same philosophy. We joke around and say that I'm his work wife.
St. Andrews has such a strong retail presence. What do you think really sets your shop and philosophy apart from others in the industry? And you were a past Platinum Award winner and a Best of the Best top 10 winner in 2024. So, what do you think really sets your retail operation apart?
I think it's because we recognized a long time ago that our golf shop really isn't a golf shop. We really turned it into a boutique. And as a result, we can offer a variety of things. And our whole vision was to be able to have a one stop shopping venue for our members, because obviously we want to be able to provide a level of service to our membership and convenience. It really was about convenience for our members. And so, as a result of that, I try and fill the shop with a variety of items for our membership. And it has worked over the years, and that has been a direct result of our increased sales year over year. And our members support the shop. They love it. They love that they can come in here and buy a gift for someone. They love it if their guests need to come in and they forgot socks or underwear or a jacket or what have you, in order to continue on in their day to where they don't have to go elsewhere.
Absolutely. And is your facility, is your club residential that your members live on property as well there?
Yes, you have to live here to be a member. So we do not have any outside memberships.
Got it. Got it. I think that'll help our listeners understand your kind of lay of the land. And I think that kind of one-stop shop and boutique style really is especially resonates at those clubs where folks live right on property. And instead of them leaving, going outside the gates to local specialty stores or buying a gift in town, that having it right on site there is really awesome and a huge convenience factor for them.
Yes, it is. And also, while COVID was tough for everyone, of course, a big learning experience, what it did do for us is it made our members really want to stay and shop in the shop. They didn't want to go to the mall. They didn't want to go to these other outlets because of the whole COVID situation. And at that time, obviously, it was hard for everybody. But
Right.
after we recovered, it allowed me to open up the door to bring even additional items that you wouldn't think you would carry like in a golf shop. So we really like to sell it as a boutique now.
I love it. And you mentioned your sales increases that you've been experiencing, which you've had some really impressive numbers there over the last few years. What else do you think really contributed most to your growth, and how did your team help drive those results day over day?
Yeah, obviously the offerings help, but it really comes down to our member service. It's personalized. We create a very friendly environment, an open environment for our members. That's what they really want. It's all about the experience that they have here. And it's about excellence. It's about going above and beyond for our members. If it's something that I don't carry, I will certainly find a way that I can get it.
So you mentioned St. Andrews being a true one-stop shop for your members. How do you work to curate a product mix when you're approaching your buying for the season to ensure you're meeting so many different needs all under one roof and balancing the different needs of everyone?
Sure. It's always a work in progress, and it's never an easy thing to do, but I am constantly buying, I'm constantly looking to have that variety for our members. Even just going to the grocery store, looking at their displays and seeing how they display items and to the items that they're even carrying. And then when I go to the mall, I'm constantly looking. I'm looking at the windows. I'm going into all of these different stores to see what the latest trends are. And that actually helps me be able to curate different items with our members and also getting feedback from our members as well. That's
Mhm.
always a key component because if there's something that they're looking for, something that they're seeing, our members travel a lot and they're very affluent. So they bring ideas to me as well. And that helps me put a whole package together when I am looking at buying for the season. One of the other things that I always do, and I know this is one of the questions, is what do I recommend? But I recommend going to all different shows that they have. Don't limit yourself just to going to golf shows. I go to the swim show, I go to the Atlanta market, there's the Dallas market. We also have the trend show. Going to a variety of shows gives you access to things that you wouldn't normally be able to get. And I think one of the things that kind of not necessarily sets us apart, but one of my visions is how can I be different? How
Mhm.
can St. Andrews be different? How can my shop be different? And that is what helps me curate different items, helps increase the sales that we've had over the last 12 years since I've been here.
Terrific. I love how you mentioned looking to mainstream retail and not being afraid to look outside of the box, outside
Mhm,
of golf retail. And I think looking at the mall or other more mainstream or different industry retail as
mhm.
well, I think that's so great and can really inspire us.
Thank you.
So I know you introduced a truly member-centric return policy recently. What inspired that change, and how has it impacted your member satisfaction and your bottom line?
Yeah, I know we are one of the very few who offer a return policy, and it wasn't always that way. We've changed, and we used to be very strict with our return policy. But at the end of the day, we realize it is all about our member satisfaction. And so we did away with our return policy or our no return policy, I should say. So we do allow our members to return anything that they purchase. There's really no time limit. Now, of course, we always have exceptions to the rule. Like it can't be something 10 years ago. But however, if someone did come in with that sort of situation, we wouldn't necessarily return that item, but instead we would say, I can't help you in that regard. However, I can certainly get you something very similar and I can offer it to you at a discounted rate. Is that something that you would be interested in? And because of our willingness to work with the members and by having a return policy that is very flexible, our members appreciate that. They feel comfortable in that. And we don't get quite as many returns as we may have in the past because we have been flexible. And I think to add to that, because we provide the personalized service to our members, we really spend time with them. We make sure that they have the right size. We help them try things on. We really make it so the members are very comfortable with their purchase. So that helps eliminate the returns going forward. So it's really, again, about member service. And this is just one element for our members that we feel is really important. And as a result, we have seen less returns, we've seen higher sales. So that's really how it works for us.
I love that. And I'm always so impressed by your commitment to service, which is so essential at a private club. And
Mhm.
your success of your sales totally reflect that. And I think you're certainly right. I think it doesn't need to be a hard and fast rule, especially in a private club where these
Right.
are your members who are supporting your shop, who want to support your shop,
Mhm.
and you have those relationships with them, and you'll probably have relationships with them for a long time. I
Yes.
always think is the cost of a skort that someone wants to return, is that really worth perhaps tarnishing a relationship with a member? Probably not. It's probably worth returning it, working with them, being flexible instead of perhaps them not having the best experience and not wanting to shop with you again. So it's all about being flexible. Every situation is different. I don't believe there needs to be 100%. This is the rule for every single person
Right.
for 100 transactions. So I think that's so important. And I think one concern members or AGM members have if they're considering loosening up their return policy is they think they're just going to get this influx of returns and be overwhelmed. But I think if it's managed well and with the right intentions, as you've spoke to, you end up with a lot less returns than you maybe would have thought or had in the past just by being open and willing to work with your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it is all about our member satisfaction. It is about providing a level of service. Our members do spend a lot of money to be in our club, and we just feel that it just goes along with everything that we stand for. We're all
Mhm.
about excellence, we're all about member service, and this is just another layer that adds to the whole package.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, South Florida shops are really known for their fun events and sometimes the crazy themes that come with them. Can you share a recent event or tournament or something of that nature that you're especially proud of that you got to be a part of and what made it so successful?
It's hard to pick one because we always have a lot of themes for everything that we do. Just recently, we had our ladies member guest, and it was a inspired theme. Of course, along with our themes goes our costumes. So we're all always dressed in all of the costumes according to whatever the theme is. But in addition to that, while a little bit challenging, the colors were white and silver. And we had to put some buys together based around those themes for our members to purchase. And in addition, we brought in not only the apparel side, we brought in some silver shoes and we brought in silver accessories, bags, and sunglasses. And we brought in gloves that were silver and hats that had some silver in it as well. So, really being able to create a fun environment with a theme is always good for us because it generates excitement for our members. And again, it provides an avenue for our members to shop for something that they wouldn't normally buy. Like they might not normally buy silver stuff, but
Right.
for a themed event, they would come and buy from us because it was an easy buy for them, basically. Yeah. So it was a really fun event. And it was actually around the same time when the space shuttle was landing here in Florida.
Okay.
And so we actually had a big screen TV playing with the space shuttle landing during the event. So it really just tied everything
Mhm.
together. And these themes are picked a year in advance. So we had no
Right.
idea at the time that the space shuttle was going to be
Yeah.
landing on the day of our event. So it all worked out perfectly.
I like the space theme. That's one I haven't heard a ladies event themed around. So that I think that's fun. I'm not super far from Kennedy Space Center myself here,
Yes.
so I think that would be a really fun Florida theme for any kind of event. I love it.
Yeah, it was perfect the way it all ended up laying out and we were thrilled.
Very nice. I love it. So, I want to shift over to talk a little bit about staff development, which I know is really important at St. Andrews. How do you approach training and developing your team? Are there any techniques or tools you found that have worked particularly well?
I think it all starts with conversations. We have weekly meetings with our team. But in addition, I allow my team to take ownership. I allow them to participate in picking out items. I ask for their input. Do you think this will work? Do you think this won't work? If they want to move stuff around in the shop, I let them do that. I go, you do whatever you think is best, and I'd let them run with it. I think most important is to give them the empowerment to do their job. And
Mm.
I am always there behind them, helping to guide them and to train them. Talk about why we're here. We've talked about it a lot today. And We're here to provide a level of service to our members and to increase our member satisfaction. That's why we're here. And I often tell my team that at the end of the day, if you understand what your role is here, then you can be very successful. And I think the other thing is that I lead by example. I don't ask my team to do anything that I wouldn't do. I jump on the floor whenever I'm needed. I'm unpacking, I'm folding, I'm stickering, I'm doing everything that they're doing. And I think as a result of that, it provides a cohesive team. And because of that, we're able to work well together and have the same vision. And that really creates a successful platform for our membership.
Absolutely. I think that's such a wonderful example of really giving your team what they need and but
Mm,
letting them explore and try things. And I think that's essential to any young merchandiser or young person
sure.
working in the shop is getting that ownership of tasks and having that support to experiment, move something around in the shop. Maybe it
Right.
doesn't work, but that's the only way someone's going to learn. And then having the support of a leader like yourself there to course correct when needed. So that's amazing,
Yeah,
outstanding.
yeah. My goal is to be able to train my team to not only help them here, but the goal is not for them to stay at St.
Right.
Andrews forever.
Right.
Goal
Right.
is to train them and to have them be able to move upward because that's our goal. And
Right.
if I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing my job because that is my
Mhm.
job and that's Paul's job. And so that's why we very much encourage people to move up, to find some other opportunities because we know that this is not going to be their last job.
And that's so key. I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's
Yes,
something I personally very much believe in is that as a retailer, it's also your job to help folks get ready for their next role. And then so that when they are interviewing for their next step, they can say, oh, when I was at St. Andrews, I got to work on X, Y, and Z. I became the expert on markdowns. I was like whatever they were involved in. And having that ownership and experience of tasks so important.
absolutely. And we know that this might not be the right industry for people at the end of the
Right.
day, but what we do know is that we are shaping our team to go on to bigger and better things. And if we can provide that training to help get them there, then we've done our job.
Absolutely. So, retail is always evolving, as we know. Are there any trends you're currently watching? Maybe you have your eye on them, or perhaps adapting and bringing into your shop, perhaps in the fall, some things you have coming in. What trends are you seeing?
This trend has been around for a while. It's not so much the leggings and those sort of things anymore, but it's more about a comfier
Mm,
lifestyle, a more relaxed lifestyle. A when I'm buying, people are looking for items that are versatile, stuff that
mm,
they
mhm,
can wear from the golf course to lunch, but a more relaxed style. And I think the offerings that you'll see from a lot of the manufacturers, everyone's offering a loungy pant, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a t-shirt. Every manufacturer has those offerings now, whereas 7 or 8 years ago, nobody had that. There was
Right.
only very few. It was very specific, but
Mhm,
you can find it in every manufacturer's lineup.
mhm.
And so
Right.
that's nice to have that variety because they realize that too. One trend I am seeing, at least for the guys, is all the pull-on stuff. There's Red Vanley started that pull-on pant and the pull-on short, and now several manufacturers offer that now because that seems to be what the trend is, and it's more again comfy, cozy when I'm out playing golf, when I'm going to lunch. So that's what I'm seeing still out
Mhm,
there. And so we're going to be offering more of that because that's what our
mhm.
members are wanting.
Great. I like that you mentioned the word versatile because that very much, I think, is the trend. It feels 5 or 6 years ago, those were two separate categories, like leisure and that kind of stuff was, and the hoodies were over here, and then
Yes,
what you were going to wear on the course was over here. And now it's become one category,
correct.
which is really interesting to watch. unfold. I know we both were at a recent PGA Magazine roundtable, and that was some of the discussion. Are people, instead of buying three different pairs of shoes for their different activities, are they just buying one and they want to wear it to golf and for pickleball and for running around and working, which I think is really interesting kind of lifestyle shift and that everything is one at this point.
Yeah, and in addition, it just goes along with even the country club environment. It used to be very strict. You used to not be able to wear jeans. You always had to
Right.
wear a jacket. And clubs are evolving as well.
Mhm.
Dress codes are changing.
Yeah.
They're more relaxed because it's what the members want. And as a result, we are evolving as well.
So, as we wrap up here, I'd love to ask you for our fellow merchandisers who are out there maybe getting started in their careers or they're looking to elevate their shop operations, what advice would you offer them from your experiences at St. Andrews?
And you didn't even ask me to say this, but I will say if you are getting into this industry, if a new buyer or a new retailer, I would join AGM. AGM has actually given me the platform to where I'm able to connect with other buyers, other retailers that I wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to on my own. We all know that once we get into season, everyone is very busy. So it's really hard to get out and make that connection. But I love the fact that I've met so many people in this industry through AGM. I think it's a great platform for anyone who is in the industry to do that because it allows me to pick up the phone and say, hey, what's working for you? What's not working for you? Can I come over and see your shop? Can you show me how to do this? I love being able to have those connections and those friendships that I've developed. And it's not just here in Florida. I have some very good buyer friends all over the country that we collaborate with.
Mhm.
And I think that's key. It's collaborating with other people in the industry to help you because you don't know everything. You don't know what you don't know, right? I love that we have this platform through AGM to be able to do that.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And I'm glad you mentioned visiting other shops.
Yep.
That's something I wish I did more of when I was a merchandiser and working in golf shops. I wish I had visited more, but hopefully I'll continue to have that opportunity now with all of our wonderful members. But really great. And I think what you said is spot on, building those relationships, your fellow merchandisers, while they might be in a different location or they might have similar membership to you, or maybe someone who doesn't. We can all kind of share ideas and maybe something will work or spark an idea for you.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say as you get into this industry, and I think you mentioned it before, don't be afraid to try something new. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you got to try it to find out.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't hurt to try, right?
Nope,
The club I used to work at, we always used to say, we're not curing cancer here.
that's
This is
correct.
golf. So if something doesn't work, it's not the end of the world at
It's
all.
not the end of the world,
Mhm.
exactly. And listen, this environment is a more of a fun environment. So I think you have a little flexibility. And I mentioned before, how can I be different? And how I can be different is by offering products that I've not had before. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Then I'll try something else. But just don't give up. You got to keep trying.
Absolutely. Wonderful. I think that about wraps up for today. Thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us for this conversation. We so loved hearing from you, especially I think those kind of key things around just member service and developing that operation that supports both your staff and your members really beautifully.
Justine, thank you for having me. And I always love chatting with you.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Fairway to Retail Success. We hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.